Long before the United States of America was even a dream, great empires rose and fell. These empires controlled vast lands. They ruled over millions of people. One such empire often slips from common memory. This was the Achaemenid Persian Empire. It stretched across 3 continents. Its power was immense. Its influence shaped the ancient world in profound ways. We can learn much by looking back at its story. This empire began with a vision. It grew through conquest and clever rule. It became a beacon of civilization. The story of the Achaemenid Empire starts in a region we now call Iran. Small kingdoms and tribal groups populated this area. Among them were the Persians. They were an Indo-Iranian people. They settled in Persis, a land in southwestern Iran. For a time, they were subjects of larger powers. The Median Empire was one such power, but change was coming. A leader would emerge. This leader would unite the Persian tribes. He would challenge the existing order. His name was Cyrus. He's now known as Cyrus the Great. His actions would change the course of history. Cyrus the Great began his rise around 559 BCE. He was a brilliant military strategist. He was also a skilled diplomat. He first consolidated his power over the Persian tribes. Then he turned his attention to the Medes. In a series of campaigns, he defeated them. He did not destroy them, however. Instead, he incorporated them into his growing empire. This was a key part of his success. He showed respect for the customs and religions of conquered peoples. This approach made ruling easier. It reduced rebellion. It built a foundation for a multi-ethnic state. With Media under his control, Cyrus looked further. He conquered the Lydian kingdom in Anatolia. This brought him immense wealth. He then turned east, expanding his borders deep into Central Asia. Perhaps his most famous conquest was Babylon in 539 BCE. The Babylonian Empire was ancient and powerful, yet it fell to Cyrus. He famously allowed the Jewish people exiled in Babylon to return to Jerusalem. This act earned him praise in the Hebrew Bible. It showed his policy of tolerance. It demonstrated a new way of empire building. His empire grew to be the largest the world had yet seen. The Achaemenid Persians were not just conquerors. They were also builders and innovators. They understood that a large empire needed infrastructure. They needed ways to connect distant lands. One of their most remarkable achievements was the Royal Road. This was a highway system. It stretched for over 2,500 kilometers or 1,600 miles. It went from Susa in Persia to Sardis in Anatolia. This road was vital for communication. It was essential for trade and moving armies. It allowed messages to travel quickly across the vast empire. Along the Royal Road, the Persians established way stations. These stations had fresh horses and riders. A royal messenger could cover the entire length of the road in about 7 to 9 days. This was incredibly fast for the ancient world. This communication network helped the great king maintain control. It allowed him to receive news quickly. It enabled him to send orders efficiently. The road also facilitated trade. Merchants used it to transport goods. This brought prosperity to many parts of the empire. It encouraged cultural exchange between different regions. The Persians also made significant advancements in other areas. They developed a standardized system of weights and measures. This made trade fairer and easier. They introduced a gold coinage system, the daric. This was one of the first, if not the first, standardized gold coins. It became a trusted currency across the ancient world. This facilitated commerce both within and beyond the empire's borders. Their engineering skills were also impressive. They built qanats, which are underground irrigation channels. These qanats brought water to arid lands. This allowed for increased agricultural production. It supported larger populations. Culturally, the Achaemenids fostered a unique blend of traditions. Their art and architecture reflected influences from all corners of the empire. Places like Persepolis, the ceremonial capital, showcased this diversity. Reliefs on palace walls depicted people from various subject nations. They were shown bringing tribute to the great king. This was not just propaganda, it was a statement of the empire's multicultural nature. The Persians adopted Aramaic as an official language for administration. This was a practical choice. Aramaic was widely spoken across the Middle East. It helped in governing a diverse population. Ruling such an enormous and diverse territory was a major challenge. The Achaemenid emperors developed a sophisticated system of governance. This system was known as the satrapy system. The empire was divided into provinces. Each province was called a satrapy. A governor, known as a satrap, was appointed to rule each province. The satrap was usually a Persian nobleman. He was responsible for collecting taxes. He maintained order. He raised troops for the royal army. This decentralized power to some extent. However, the great king kept a close watch on the satraps. He did not want them to become too powerful. He did not want them to rebel. To prevent this, he used several methods. Special officials, known as the king's eyes or king's ears, traveled throughout the empire. They spied on the satraps. They reported directly back to the king. This kept the satraps loyal. It ensured they followed the king's policies. The king also controlled the military forces within each satrapy. The satrap often had a separate military commander. This commander also answered to the king. The satrapy system was quite effective for its time. It allowed for local administration while maintaining central control. Each satrapy had to pay a fixed amount of tribute to the central government. This tribute was paid in goods or precious metals. The system allowed for local customs and laws to continue. As long as tribute was paid and order was kept, this policy of tolerance helped to reduce resistance. It made the empire more stable. The satraps often lived like minor kings in their provinces. They had their own courts, they had their own administrative staff. This system of provincial government was a significant innovation. It influenced later empires. The Romans, for example, also used a system of provinces and governors. The idea of dividing a large territory into manageable units is still used today. The Achaemenid system was not perfect. There were occasional rebellions by satraps, but overall it provided a framework for governing millions of people. It covered a vast area for over 2 centuries. This was a remarkable achievement. It showed a deep understanding of administration and control. The Achaemenid Persian Empire eventually fell. Alexander the Great of Macedon conquered it in the 330s BCE. However, its decline and fall did not erase its impact. The legacy of the Achaemenids was profound. It echoed through subsequent civilizations. Many of their ideas and innovations were adopted by others. Their influence can be seen in governance, infrastructure, and culture. The Greeks, who were often rivals of the Persians, learned from them. Alexander himself admired Persian customs. He even adopted some of them. The concept of a universal empire ruling over diverse peoples with a degree of tolerance was a powerful one. The Achaemenids showed it could be done. Their administrative system, the satrapies, provided a model for future empires. The royal road set a standard for communication and transportation networks. Their use of a standardized currency helped to promote international trade. These were not small achievements. They shaped the economic and political landscape of the ancient world. Even their art and architecture left a lasting impression. The grandeur of Persepolis inspired awe for centuries. The influence of Persian culture also spread widely. Persian ideas about religion, particularly Zoroastrianism, may have influenced other faiths. Concepts like a struggle between good and evil, a final judgment, and an afterlife are found in Zoroastrianism. These ideas may have filtered into Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Persian gardens were famous for their beauty. The concept of a paradise garden, paradisa in Old Persian, has entered many languages. This shows the cultural reach of the empire. Their emphasis on justice and order also left a mark. Even though the Achaemenid Empire itself disappeared, its spirit lived on. Later Persian empires, like the Parthians and Sasanians, saw themselves as successors. They carried forward many Achaemenid traditions. The idea of Persia as a great civilization endured. The memory of Cyrus the Great, the tolerant conqueror, remained an ideal for rulers. The Achaemenid Empire was a true superpower of its time. It ruled millions before the United States was even imagined. Its scale, its innovations, and its impact on future civilizations make it a crucial chapter in human history. Its story deserves